Hi everybody. So time for another midweek chat. I bet you a lot of Eau Claire people know where I am. I think I maybe did one from here once, or maybe I thought about it but didn't. But such a nice spot. It's artificial. It's not a real rapids, but it's beautiful, isn't it? They built this since the time that I lived across the street. So sometime since, there must be a stone somewhere. Okay. The Stowe Fountain, a tribute to the many additional opportunities provided by the University of Wisconsin system to 3 generations of the Stowe family. John and Megan Stowe, dedicated 2019. So pretty recent, 2019. There's still not a lot of people around campus. You see a few people walking, but I thought summer school was like a thing that people did, but maybe not so much. So I got some parish news, got reflections on a few things, a bunch of parish news actually. Let's just kind of run through it. We scheduled a few things. I don't expect you to, write it down, but feel free to if you want to. We're gonna have interfaith prayer. We're gonna host it at St. James in September 13th. One of our parishioners, Bob Lesneski, is a big organizer of that, and it's a nice event. I've been to it. We hosted it. The last time we hosted it was the night of Regis graduation, and I could just participate in the beginning, and then I had to apologize and leave, and to get over the graduation, and and then I hopped in the car. I was in such a rush, I backed out of the garage without opening the garage door. Ugh. Oh, that made me mad. And I was able to kind of get out, and then, anyway, you ever do that? I haven't done it since. I hope never to do it again. It's like getting a speeding ticket, or I don't know, getting a cavity. It's just this expense that you don't anticipate that So anyway, that's going to be not in May, so I won't have any conflict. Hopefully nowhere to go. So Wednesday, September 13th, women's retreat. So so many people were so touched by Pam's Lenten mission that she offered us, and I think I mentioned in passing that she likes to do retreats, and women's retreats in particular, and so that tickled the fancy of some parishioners, and I think we finally nailed it down. We'll do it around the weekend of October 14th, and I think probably for a day, but maybe overnight. We'll maybe get a feel for that, see what the interest is. But so it'll be a Saturday. Overnight retreats are great. We'll probably do it on campus, on our own campus. But anyway, the sky's the limit, but that'll be the weekend we do it. Have you noticed the big masonry project at school, our $325,000 project? It's a big deal. 3 more weeks. They've been working since school let out, so at least we know we're getting our money's worth. Everybody I know who knows buildings and workmanship and brickwork, they say this group is really doing a great job. So the only problem this week is that they're going zzz, grinding out all the old mortar, and it's right, man. It's a little. I know I don't get any sympathy when noise wakes me up at 7 o'clock, because I should be awake anyway, right? But anyway, I got earplugs and they work great. So now that I know that, in go the earplugs. But anyway, it's a good project, and they'll be in about 3 more weeks. The goal is to kind of have it all done by Summerfest. And then we're gonna have another big project. It kind of saves a little money to do it all at once, I guess. So thanks to the generosity of folks over the years and our building fund, we're able to, you know how we renewed the surface of our terrazzo floor at church? We're going to be able to do that for the school hallways now, and the stairs going down to Rourke Hall. And so another big project, another expense. Anyway, that'll start. I was hoping I'd miss the whole thing, because I'm going on vacation next week on Monday. They're going to come on Monday, but that's going to take 3 weeks. So that's kind of a big deal too. So a lot of brick and mortar stuff, literally, and then kind of figuratively with the terrazzo. It's not brick, but so that's going on at St. James, right? Again, thanks everybody for who is able to afford to support us with your donations. It's how we maintain our buildings. It's how we maintain our ministries financially. So thanks very much. Another just coming attraction, Refocus. So Beth Cerny's parents are coming. Her father's a deacon in the Superior Diocese, and they do something called Refocus. Our marriage preparation, when you get married, you go through a focus program, and we have some great couples that do that. I don't want to mention it because I know I'll forget one, but it's like mentor couples, and the engaged couple takes a long inventory, 160 questions, and they see how compatible they are in key areas, and then they process that with others. Anyway, this is going to be called Refocus, and I don't think you have to take a test and surface your areas of weakness or and strength or anything like that, but it'll be a marriage enrichment day, basically. So that'll be on August 27th. So don't go to Mount Rushmore on August 27th. Stay in Eau Claire so you can be part of that. I have something here. It just says August. August is coming. Buy a tree. So, I don't know if you noticed, but is that Mark? We had anyway, we had a lot of ash trees that died or were dying, emerald ash borer, that disease. So we had to cut a lot down. So we want to replace them. The two that break my heart are these two right between the tee and the hole of the disc golf course, which is, but even more important, the kids for the school, they always, when it's on a hot sunny day, they'd always go sit and play under those trees. So anyway, you want to get some fast growing trees there. People are saying maple, but if you're interested in being a little part of giving us some feedback, like where these trees should go, what kind of trees we should get, we're a little bit limited because we're going to work with the company that's cutting down the trees, and they work with the company that supplies the trees, but I think there'd be a lot of variety and choices we could make. And if you'd like to donate a tree in memory of somebody or for whatever cause you would like, that'd be great. You know, sometimes that's a great thing to do. You can drive by, you can say, we bought that tree. That'd be nice. So I'll be promoting that in the weeks ahead a little bit. So I don't even know how much they cost. Well, we'll try to get big trees, so because they cut down big trees, you know. Ugh. So buy a tree. AAs, what's that? Oh, adult acolytes. So across the board, so we have some great adult acolytes. Oh boy, I'm gonna start naming them. I'm gonna get tripped up again. But Pat and Mary and Dean and Robin and Isaac, and they've been pretty much pulling the weight. I know I forgot someone. I'm so sorry. But those are some, and gradually, you know, they've hung in there, but some have stepped down from that role, and so we could use some more adult acolytes. So it's the adult server, and their responsibility is to get there early before Mass and serve as what we call a sacristan. So kind of getting the hosts for communion out, and the wine, the cups, and the purificators, and the you know, to get all the hardware ready for Mass. And every, you know, especially the 8 o'clock Mass, I really rely on that person. I'm not always there real early for the 8 o'clock Mass, but as we discussed. But the anyway, and then I'm thinking we have some high school students too who could really be good at that, I think. But I want to check with their parents. It's kind of a bigger duty than simply being a youth server, which is also great. We need those too. But if that tickles your brain at all, to be an adult server that gets Mass ready for everybody and then kind of hangs in there and supervises kind of our youth servers, we need you, okay? My garden, I bought these, it's just because of vanity. I bought these tomatoes called Tumbling Toms. And they told me they're really great in pots because they tumble over the pot. Well, it just went in 1 year out the other. Well, I bought them, I put them in the ground. I don't have them in pots. And they're just staying like 4 inches above the ground and there's nowhere for them to tumble. So anyway, I got some other tomatoes, and I don't know, they're just not doing so good this year. And then I got basil, which was beautiful, but I don't necessarily need 6 huge plants of basil, especially if I don't have any tomatoes to pair them with. And now the darned Japanese, those green Japanese beetles. I don't mean to put down Japan or anything, but I think that's what they call them, right? There's green beetles. I caught them. I got about 5 of them out of the way, but I think they're gonna really do a number on my basil. Hope your gardens are doing better. I got the rabbits. You know those chain link fences, that have the diamond shape, just adult rabbits get through those little diamond shaped things. So they have no trouble getting in the garden. Hey, thanks. We had sunshine days this week. It was incredible. One more day actually. So Beth and Kelly, the big organizers of it all. And I think there were about 60 youngsters that came, and probably a crew of about a dozen youth volunteers. And Martha, who's not a youth volunteer, but her granddaughter is volunteering, so she thought she'd lend a hand. Found it a lot of work to work with youngsters, but so great that everyone could do that. I guess some people were sort of Uber volunteers, like they were in charge of different stations. And Kelly said I could mention Brittany Martin and her friend Tegan, Corinna Loken, Morgan Smith, and then our adults, Kim Norrish and Casey Carpenter, and their sisters. Anyway, it was food truck. Dan and me, not me, but me, his wife, M.I. They brought their food truck and served egg rolls to all the children, and then they even had some extra for the staff, so that was good. But it was just a lot of fun. I tried to tell the story. Let's spiritualize this a little bit than just, they're learning a lot of Bible stories and a lot of things. Patrice said, her granddaughter said, I never knew there was so much food stories in the Bible. There are, because Jesus wants to feed us. So anyway, I wanted to tell these children about the multiplication of loaves, and Jesus saw the people and wanted to feed them, and here we are at a food truck. And the timing wasn't just right, because they've been hearing about the food truck all week, and they were just about to get to the food truck. In fact, they were at the food truck and wanting to get the food. And I said, well, just a second, I got a story to tell you. So they'll probably hate that story for the rest of their lives because it interfered with their egg roll experience. But they all got fed, and we had wicker baskets, and we put in the leftovers that could have fed 100 more. Just a thing. If you notice someone missing, sometimes in staff meetings we just go, hey, have you seen so-and-so in a while? And it's really hard. We love when people join and want to be more involved, but sometimes people we don't see them all of a sudden. We don't know what's going on. And it's a personal decision, and I don't want to, harass anybody. I should probably be a little more assertive, just checking in with people. But Patrice is thinking of calling a bunch of folks names that we hear, but we don't always know. And sometimes someone will actually die, and then their surviving spouse will be a little irritated with the parish because nobody noticed that they were gone or something. So help us notice when people are gone. If you're like, where's that person? I used to always be here every Saturday. I think his name was Bob. That wouldn't narrow it down too much at St. James. A lot of Bobs, but you know what I mean? It will help us, because we really do. It's a large parish, but it's not a huge parish. We should be able to know each other and feel each other's absence when we're missing, So that's important. I heard this sort of broke our hearts. We went to the Dove. We have Dove Mass, Dove Healthcare Center every Thursday morning at 10. So tomorrow morning, everybody's welcome. It's our parish mass of the day. We just have it off-site. And anyway, she said, so you're from St. James? And I said, yeah. It's like a new resident there. And she goes, yeah, I'm a member of a different parish in town. And I used to like going to St. James. But then all of a sudden, one day I went to the website, and it said that only parish members were welcome. And I said, well, what do you mean? That doesn't sound like us. We all are welcome. And she said, yeah, it was during COVID. And I was like, oh. And those days were just very difficult to decide what to do. Remember, we had no mass for a while, and then when we had mass, we asked people to mask, and then we roped off pews. And some people appreciated that, some people were annoyed by that. Those were hard days. I remember doing a lot of chats talking about that, trying to, please don't be angry, we're trying to do the right thing. Try not to spread disease, but we want to pray together. And there were a couple of weeks when a lot of people started coming, and I think maybe people from other parishes came because they appreciated we were taking more safety measures. Anyway, it got too crowded, And we were just thinking, well, you know, we don't, you know, we want the seating available for our parishioners, you know, so what should we do? And I don't know, it seemed like a logical idea at the time. We were probably thinking with our heads more than our hearts. So I think we only did it for 1 week, 2 at the most. We just had that little message, like we because of the limited seating right now, we need to kind of save the seats for the parishioners. You know, it made a little logical sense, like that's. But anyway, she remembered that. She's still kind of resentful about it. And I thought, oh gosh, that's too bad, you know. And I shared that at staff today, and I thought, yeah, those were hard days, you know. We were glad we were over them, but some of the wounds and scars remain, I guess. And so that was a bad decision, because that's not who we are. You know, our charism at St. James is to be the place where all are welcome. Not that other places don't welcome everybody, but we really try to cultivate that experience, you know. And so to be remembered for that by someone was painful, actually. So. Yeah, anyway. What else we got here? Sara Hart. Oh, gosh. I almost forgot. Sherry would have really got... Well, she's so nice. She wouldn't have been upset. But she would have said, Father, you forgot. Remember the one thing I asked you to do? And she wouldn't even have said that. She's so nice. But I would have remembered I forgot. And then I would have been apologizing. Anyway, so here it is. Sadly, I'm going to be gone for this. I'll be on vacay out west. And but Monday, July 24th, she's going to give a free concert at 7:30 p.m. in church, and it's going to be lovely. She's if you've been to our Facebook page, there's probably on our website, there's a video that she talks about Eau Claire. She's talking to us. She said, "I'm coming to Eau Claire. Hope you can come." And I wish I were here, because I would have invited some friends of mine to come and they would have enjoyed it. But so she's a famous church music writer. A lot of her songs in our music book, and we've been singing them. Alleluia, love is alive. Dun 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 dun, defeated the night. Alleluia, God is alive, and love has arisen for all. Good people sing Alleluia. Then there's another more famous one. I can't remember right now. Anyway, you'd enjoy it. And then the next day is going to be a workshop. Hello. For anybody who's really passionate about music. Certainly for choir members. And it's just about, if you have a passion for singing in church and church music, it's more of a workshop. It's more about how to sing well, or how to get into the spirit of the songs. And that one includes lunch, but there's a cost for $20. But we hope to, attract some people with that. I think there's some. I think they're a little disappointed. And the last day to register for this is Saturday, the 15th. So if you hear this message and you're kind of on the fence, well, that might be kind of neat. Just do it. Just do it. Call the office. Tell them you want to come. You can pay the day you come for lunch and time with others. So. Okay. I want to share something, a little idea. What's me? Fall down there. Okay. So was it yesterday? July 11th anyway, was the feast day of St. Benedict. So, and I think I've mentioned this before on these chats. Maybe I should have gone up to the old St. Bede's for this chat. I didn't have time today, unfortunately. But for a really good reason, though. I'm gonna go to the Drum and Bugle Corps extravaganza in Carson Park tonight. So a couple of parishioners heard that I enjoyed watching the Blue Stars rehearsing in lacrosse, and they thought maybe Father would like to go with us. So they invited me, and I'm going. So that'll be good. So anyway, I got to get back for that and upload this. But anyway, so St. Benedict, he started the Benedictine order. I think he lived in the late 6th century. I don't know if he got into the 600s at all, if he maybe died in the year 590. It's kind of sticking in my head, the year 590 with Benedict. He was kind of known for being the father of modern monasticism, of religious people living in community without being married, but having kind of each other as family. So religious orders, that live apart. And some are more active, like the Sisters of St. Bede. When they were here, they were more active. They were teachers in the high school, and they worked at the hospitals, you know, and some are cloistered more. They just kind of live and pray and contemplate, and they usually do something to support themselves. So like the monks in, maybe you get the catalogs for buy fruitcakes and bourbon-laced caramels from the monks at, what's that called, where Thomas Merton lived? It's in Kentucky. I want to say Genesee, but that's in New York. Oh! Come on, what's that Trappist monastery in Kentucky called? Oh man, aging is wonderful. Whoops, my bike just moved. Okay. Man, I can't believe I can't think of it. Anyway, I've even been there. Anyway, it's men who live with other men and pray together and work together, or women that live together at St. Bede's. Anyway, on Feast of St. Bede's, and Benedict was always known for being like a moderation, a person who really encouraged. So before him, the monks would maybe almost starve themselves to death, or they'd really be austere. They'd live in the desert, hardly eat anything, and Benedict was more like, well, no, let's just not be gluttons, but we can eat. You know, we don't have to be, you know, too severe with our diet and things like that, and so moderation was the key for him. Sister Margaret said they were trying to translate the rule, and there was a rule that Benedict wrote about how much wine the monks could drink at a meal, and it was like a bintna. I made that up, like a bintna. Nobody knows what a bintna was. They don't know how to translate it. Was it like a gallon? You could have just a gallon of wine, or just like a sip. But in the spirit of Benedict, I think they translated it as a cup. You can have a cup of wine or a glass of wine or something like that. But not, you know, so somewhere, you know, moderate, kind of the spirit of Benedict. Sometimes when we get the religious bug, we want to just kind of go head over heels and be very extreme. And there's a time for that, I suppose. But I like that spirit of moderation, that we just build up a sustainable lifestyle that you can do in good conscience and, you know, live it faithfully. So that's the spirit of Benedict. Anyway, I like this feast. I always remember the nuns, they would have the renewal of vows. I don't know if it was they always did it on this day, but there was one ceremony, it might have been this one, or it might have been when they had a jubilee, and I know I mentioned this before, but I really like it. And there's a ceremony where they kneel and they put their hands out facing the altar, you know, kind of like this, and they chant Psalm 119, verse 116, big long psalm. Sustain me according to your promise, talking to God. Sustain me according to your promise. Do not disappoint me in my hope. Sustain me, O God, according to your promise. Do not disappoint me in my hope. And they say that a few times. And it always moved me so much. These women who dedicated their lives, and maybe like a lot of us wonder from time to time, did I do the right thing, you know? I don't mean to read their minds, but that there was an annual prayer where they would say, sustain me according to your promise. Don't disappoint me in my hope. Earlier in that psalm, it says, I will observe your statutes, your laws, O Lord. Do not leave me all alone. So it's really a lovely psalm. It's a big Old Testament theme. You know, be with me. I'll keep your law. I'll try to do what you ask of me. But stay with me. You know, lead me to life. That's another big theme in Psalm 119. And I will live. Sustain me. Oh, I didn't chant the whole thing. It sustain me by your promises that I may live. Sustain me by your promise that I may live. Do not disappoint me in my hope. Sustain me, O God, by your promise that I may live. Do not disappoint me in my hope. So we have a God of life, right? We have a God who wants fullness of life for us. Some days we don't feel it. Some months we don't feel it. Some years we might not feel it. Mother Teresa was famous in her autobiographical work that came out. Lead me, kindly light. That's a Newman quote, but it's something like that. And it came out in that book that she didn't feel a lot of consolation from God in her life after that initial fervor when she was a young woman. A lot of it was just kind of grin and bear it. And I know it's right. I know I love the Lord. I know what He wants me to do, and I'm going to keep doing it, even though I don't feel like I'm getting any pats on the back from Jesus at night. No high fives. I'm just doing the work, you know. So I remember when I was thinking about being a priest, I had a fear that I would, if I did, that being single, I would sort of dry up emotionally. The word I use would be a crabby old prune. And you can judge if I'm getting to be a crabby old prune or not. I don't think so. And my sense was God communicating to me. First of all, He said you can really do what you want. You don't have to be a priest. But if you do want to be a priest, and that's your fear, that you'll be a crabby old prune, just know that I will give you people in your life that you can love, that will love you, good friends, and they will keep you not crabby and stiff and all these things that you fear. So that was sort of my covenant with God when I became a priest, and so far God has held it up. But I can relate to that when I say, "Sustain me, O God, according to your promise, that I may live. Do not disappoint me in my hope." Remember when St. Peter asked Jesus, he said, "Jesus, we gave up our families, we gave up our houses, we gave up our friends, we gave up everything to follow you." And the implication was, well, what are we going to get back? You know, he was feeling the loss of it all, but he wasn't feeling the juice, the reward for that, you know. And then Jesus assures them, it's getting a little windy here. Jesus assures them, whoever's given up those things will get back tenfold what you gave up. He said, in this life as well. So it's a pretty extravagant promise, but that's what he said. But I just thought of that in terms of, I don't know, it's a big biblical theme. It's trying to stay faithful in the face of things that would take us off the track. And I think a lot of that, I think we get off track when we stop feeling consolations if we need to feel it. If I could have one great quality, first would be I'd love to be able to play a piano. It's kind of a pipe dream at this point in my life. That'd be I admire so much piano players. But I would just spiritually, I'd like to be able to be okay with not feeling good. I don't know if you're the same way. I think it's pretty common, and I think it's the root of a lot of spiritual problems. If we're not okay when we don't feel good, then we reach out for something that'll make us feel good. It's not usually very, very wholesome, right? So, hour before I came over here, I had a good lunch. I had a fine lunch. I didn't have to eat again until dinner. And for some reason, I saw some Cheetos in the corner, and I felt like I needed to eat Cheetos. Big deal? Not really. Necessary? No. Harmful? A little bit. You know, and but it did. You know, makes you feel good in the short run. You know, that's why people, you know, get into drugs. That is a drug. But I suppose eating is kind of the main thing. It's why people can be unfaithful in marriages. It's you know, there's something restless. There's something I'm not feeling good, and they have a hard time thinking, well, it's okay not to feel good. God doesn't need us to feel good. We need to pay attention, I think, to our emotional lives, but we don't always have to feel good. Hey, there's a youngster. That's kind of fun. So, well, it's good. It's a nice little background. There's a scene in The Chosen. You know, a lot of you watch that Chosen, that story about Jesus. He's got the 12 around him, and he's going to send them out, and they're all nervous. He's like, what? You want us to expel demons and heal the sick? Isn't there some kind of ceremony for this? Something we can you know, do so help us feel like we can do this. See ya. It's kind of a nice little break. And one of them says, is there a ceremony or something, like lay hands on us and give us your power? He goes, and the other one says, yeah, I don't feel any different. And Jesus says, I don't need you to feel anything. You don't need to feel anything to do great things in your life. You know, you just have to be faithful and put out the efforts, you know. So, there's something called, Gerald May is a great author about psychology and spirituality, and he talked about the happiness mentality, that if we're not happy all the time, we think we're not okay, and it's okay not to be happy all the time. And so much in the Bible is just asking God to sustain us. We'll keep his laws, sustain us in your compassion. Give us life that we may live. Do not disappoint us in our hope. Every day is not going to be a bed of roses. So we support each other through all of that as people of God, right? Okay, let's let you take in this scene a little bit. And may the life-giving waters that Jesus offers the souls of all of us who thirst for him come to you in abundance today. May you feel the Lord Jesus giving you energy. May you know his appreciation for your fidelity, and may you show his appreciation for his saving love. God bless you.